Why does he make the terrible noise? It is his child. Excuse me, Monsieur le Marquis, it is. The tall man, his face twisted in agony, ran towards the carriage, shouting killed, and stood desperately staring at the Marquis, crying over and over, dead, dead, dead. The Marquis looked at them all as if they were all rats. Why can't you take better care of your children? One of them is always in the way. I hope my horses are not injured. So that bystander, he informed Monsieur Marquis that the man who is crying badly, you have crushed that man's child under your carriage. Marquis looked at all the people who were gathered there in the crowd in a very bad manner, as if they are not human beings, they are rats. And the man whose child he has crushed under his wheels, he was crying over and he was shouting dead, dead, dead. Marcus, he was not moved by the death of a child. On the other hand, he shows his aggression by saying that, why can't you take care of your children? Whenever I used to walk through this way on my carriage, one of them was always on my way. I hope my horses will not get injured. At that, he threw a gold coin out of a window, which fell at the feet of the poor father, who is still crying, dead, dead, dead. A large man with heavy jaw and thick, angry eyebrows took the father of the dead child into his arms. To compensate the death of a child, the Marquis threw a gold coin out of the window, and that gold coin, it fell at the feet of the poor father, who was still crying, dead, dead, dead. A large man with a heavy jaw and thick eyebrows, he came out of the crowd, and he gave sympathy to the father of the dead child. He took him into his arms. Be a brave man, Gaspard. It's better for a poor thing to die in this way than live in these times. At least he died quickly. So he gave sympathy to the father of that dead child by saying that, Gaspard, be a brave man. It's better for your child that he had died quickly instead of getting a painful death. In this time, when the rich people are exploiting the poor subjects in a bad manner, it's better for the poor people to die instead of suffering from that bad exploitation. You are a philosopher, you there, smiled the Marquis. What do they call you? My name is Defarge. Marquis toasted another coin at the feet of Defarge. Here, take this, philosopher Defarge. By listening the words of the Defarge, Monsieur le Marquis, he looked at him and he said, oh, you are a philosopher. You are giving a philosophical lecture. What do they call you? What is your name? He said, my name is Defarge. Then he toasted another gold coin towards Defarge. With the air of a gentleman who had accidentally broken something common and paid the shopkeeper for it, he leaned back into his seat. As they were about to leave, the same coin was thrown back into the carriage, landing at the feet of the Marquis. Hold the horses! Who threw that? So, one common man had also accidentally broken something common, but he paid the shopkeeper for it. But the gold coin thrown by Marquis towards the Defarge. When the Marquis he got into his carriage, somebody has thrown that gold coin back into the carriage. By having a look at this, Marquis shouted at his driver, "Hold the horses! I want to know. I want to know that who had thrown the gold coin back to my carriage. Who dared to do this?" Marquis looked out of the carriage window at the spot when Defarge had been. "The devil who threw that deserved to be crushed under my wheels." Marquis looked out of his carriage and he saw Defarge. Marquis announced, "The devil who had done this activity, that person deserved death by crushing under my wheels." No one dared to raise their eyes to the Marquis. They just stood there silently, heads bowed. Only one person was bold enough to look at him. It was Defarge's wife, Therese, who stood knitting with the unwavering certainty of fate. Her cold contempt went unnoticed by the noble, insensitive face. So all the people, they were standing there, and they were not having the dare to say to Marquis that who had thrown the gold coin back in the carriage. All the people, they had bowed their heads, but only one person is there in the crowd who had raised her head high. That is Defarge's wife, Ma'am Defarge. She was doing the knitting activity, but her cold contempt was unnoticed by the